The black void of space folds around the vessel Aeternum as its descent engines flare, scattering clouds of ancient, lunar dust. Dr. Elara Quinn feels her pulse sensing with the vibration of the hull, a heartbeat shared with the machine. Commander Holt, Mercer's voice is steady, his tone the kind born from repetition and faith. Altitude, 200 meters, begin final burn. The moon looms beneath them, a field of ghost light and silence, its craters holding more history than Earth's oceans. Outside, the stars seem fixed, unblinking witnesses. Somewhere below, buried under centuries of dust, an artificial rhythm pulses from Mare Tranquillitatis, repeating like a call. NASA called it seismic interference. Elara calls it something older. Intent. When the engines fall silent, the universe feels hollow, like the vacuum itself is listening. The crew performs their checks with the ritualized calm of those pretending not to be afraid. Mira adjusts her radio band. Amid the static, she hears something that shouldn't be there. 3 tones repeating in perfect rhythm. Telemetry echo, Kieran mutters, but Elara's gaze is already fixed on the lunar map projected before them. Beneath their landing coordinates lies a geometric anomaly, stretching 10 kilometers below, denser than basalt, colder than shadow. She notes the pattern resembles the structure of DNA. Outside, the moon is a graveyard of silence. The first step into that ash-gray desert feels like trespass. Mercer descends the ramp with the precision of ritual, followed by Elara, who kneels and presses a sensor into the soil. It vibrates faintly, as if alive. Over comms, Mira's voice trembles. We're receiving return signal from below the surface. The words linger too long, like echoes without a source. Elara looks toward the horizon and sees something shimmer just beyond visibility. A perfect hexagonal glint, half buried in shadow. Hours later, the first drill penetrates the subsurface layer. Not rock, not metal, something in between. The bit screeches, sparks in vacuum, and the seismic instruments spike. Kieran swears softly. Beneath the drill site, imaging radar maps the impossible. A perfect geometric cavity, 30 meters deep. Hexagonal symmetry exact to the micron. Natural formation, Mercer says too quickly. Elara only whispers. Nothing natural repeats like thought. That night, or what passes for night on the moon, they rest inside the habitat dome. Elara dreams of light moving beneath the ground, like veins under translucent skin. She wakes to find the floor faintly humming. The vibration pulses through the soles of her boots, slow, deliberate, intelligent. Across the cabin, Mira is already awake, staring at the comm receiver. It's counting, she says, not in numbers, in heartbeats. Elara looks through the viewport toward the crater's rim, where dust swirls in a wind that should not exist. Morning on the moon is a mathematical illusion. Light without warmth, dawn without color. Elara leads the EVA team to the excavation site where the surface drill stands silent, its bit melted smooth. Mira adjusts the seismic receiver. Beneath the static hum, a pattern emerges. 6 tones, then silence, then 6 again. Kieran traces the waveform across his tablet, eyes narrowing. It's recursive, he mutters. Mercer crosses himself unconsciously, the gesture too quick to notice. The ground below them vibrates once, not like rock, but like something breathing. The second drill descends with surgical precision, cutting deeper into the lunar crust. The data feed spikes with impossible readings, internal pressure, liquid density, and temperature far below freezing. Elara studies the holographic cross-section and feels her breath catch. The formation isn't a cave, it's a lattice, crystalline and organized. Mira's voice trembles over comms. It's reflecting my signal back perfectly. For a moment, all their radios fill with whispers, each voice a distorted echo of their own. They break through. The first shard rises through the regolith like a frozen breath. Translucent, hexagonal, humming faintly. When Alara touches it, her suit telemetry flashes with erratic heartbeats. Mira gasps as the comm's light flares, voices multiplying until every frequency collapses into silence. Kieran grabs Alara's arm. "It's alive," he says, though he doesn't believe it yet. Beneath their feet, a low vibration answers. 6 pulses, steady as a code. The shard glows from within, casting their shadows long against the crater wall. Back inside the habitat, analysis begins. The shard emits no radiation, no magnetic field, yet it projects a signal perfectly aligned with the crew's neural frequencies. Mira, pale and shaking, claims she can feel it moving through her head, sensing with her pulse. Cade observes her quietly, noting her rhythm against the comm readout. "It's mimicking you," he whispers into his private recorder. Alara isolates the waveform. What appears is not random noise, but a sequence of harmonics structured like language. A voice, ancient and artificial, waiting for someone to listen. Night again, if time still holds meaning here. Alara lies awake, listening to the faint rhythm through the habitat floor. 6 tones, then stillness. Mira sleeps uneasily, her lips moving soundlessly. From the corner, Cade's recorder clicks. His voice whispers into it. They've opened the first layer. Outside, a soft luminescence ripples under the dust near the excavation site, spreading in perfect concentric circles. In the distance, the Apollo relics shimmer, and for a moment, one of the flags moves, bending against a wind that does not exist. The excavation opens into a hollow that should not exist, a symmetrical void beneath a world of chaos. The crew descends by cable, their suit lights slicing through silver dust motes. The walls shimmer like glass, but reflections within do not follow movement. When Alara raises her arm, the mirrored image lags behind, then smiles. A heartbeat, too late. Kieran mutters a curse. Mira whispers over comms. "It's recording us." Mercer stares upward where the entry shaft glows faintly. The void below hums in answer. At the chamber floor, they find the lattice network. Honeycomb panels fused with unknown material. Mira kneels beside one, placing her palm against the surface. It ripples like mercury, and her visor briefly fills with images of Earth, reversed, inverted. "It's responding to emotional input," Alara notes, though her voice trembles. Mercer orders them to stop recording, but Cade's camera light flicks on, capturing Mira's reflection and another face behind hers. Not hers. Not anyone's. Kieran's instruments fail one by one, their readings looping backward in time. Each second repeats twice before advancing. Alara's suit display shows an oxygen drop that never stabilizes, forever falling, never reaching zero. Mira hears her own voice echo from the comms, but delayed by 30 seconds. "We're overlapping," she says, panic rising. Mercer's reflection moves independently, turning toward her when he hasn't. The mirrored version lifts its visor, revealing eyes like hollow silver moons. The walls begin to vibrate at a subsonic frequency that makes speech crumble into static. Alara kneels, placing the shard against the floor. Instantly, the mirrors respond. Hundreds of images ripple outward, each a variation of themselves. Younger, older, broken, or smiling in impossible ways. Cade records silently, his camera trembling. He whispers into his log. "They are not reflections. They are probabilities." The chamber hums louder until time itself seems to pulse. 6 beats, then stillness, then silence. The reflections freeze. Alara steps closer to the wall, her mirrored self unmoving. She touches it, and for an instant, her hand passes through. The other Alara grips back, smiling. The temperature drops instantly. Kieran screams her name as the mirror fractures outward, a crystalline burst of light and sound. When it fades, Ilara stands alone, her reflection gone. Behind her, the walls slowly begin to ripple again, but now every reflection moves with a heartbeat rhythm, staring back in perfect synchronization. The habitat feels smaller now, as if the moon itself is closing in. Hours, or maybe days, have passed since the chamber incident. Ilara's suit remains sealed in isolation, the surface of her helmet faintly reflective even without light. "She's different," Mira whispers. Ilara speaks little, her tone measured and soft, as though repeating someone else's words. Kieran replays the data feed, 30 minutes missing, replaced by a looping pattern of 6 chime-like tones. In that static, Mira hears something else. A voice, distorted but unmistakably human, whispering her own name. Cade spends hours combing through archival Apollo transmissions. The encrypted data they brought, marked as 17 confidential, hides a sequence that mirrors their current seismic patterns. The last Apollo astronauts recorded similar signals before communication ended abruptly. They were told never to speak of it, Cade murmurs into his recorder. Mercer demands answers, but Cade only shows a fragment. A distorted voice transmission dated 1972. The voice, faint and feminine, repeats, "Do not wake them." Ilara looks up, smiling faintly. "We already have." Outside, the excavation site pulses with faint bioluminescence. Mira, drawn by whispers through her headset, ventures closer. Her breath fogs the inside of her visor, though the temperature reads stable. Beneath the regolith, she sees a network of light stretching like veins toward the horizon. "It's expanding," she radios in. Static answers. The lights begin to move, aligning into shapes, letters, symbols, spelling something not in any human language. She stands frozen, realizing the pattern mirrors the synaptic mapping of a human brain. In the habitat, Kieran finally cracks the Apollo encryption. The transmission unfolds as visual data, a recording not of astronauts, but of reflections moving inside a similar chamber 50 years ago. One of them looks directly into the camera and speaks. Project Luna X was never the first. The feed collapses into static. Then, from Ilara's comms, a faint voice speaks again. Her own, saying words she hasn't yet said. Mercer slams the console shut. "No more," he says, but the static continues, whispering their names in endless sequence. Night. Power fails across the habitat. Only Ilara's module remains lit, powered by the shard's faint inner glow. She records a message to Earth, her tone calm, but eyes hollow. "There was another structure beneath the chamber," she says. "It's not dead. It's dreaming." As she speaks, Cade watches from the shadows, recording her reflection rather than her face. Outside, the regolith begins to move, rippling like breath, and a low-frequency sound rolls across Mare, tranquillitatis. Half seismic wave, half heartbeat. NASA's orbital satellite records the tremor, but receives no response from Eternum. The shard awakens before dawn. Its glow intensifies, pulsing like a second heartbeat inside the habitat. Instruments fail in synchronized intervals. Every light flickers to the rhythm of 6. Ilara stands before it, expression serene. "It's communicating," she says. Kieran argues, voice sharp, trembling. "It's imitating." But when he reaches for the shard, his gloves vibrate with a deep harmonic tone that travels through his bones. The walls hum in answer. Outside, the lunar dust begins to rise, not fall, suspended as if gravity itself is listening. They take the shard back to the chamber, following Ilara's insistence that it remembers where it belongs. The descent is silent. Their radios emit only a low, melodic vibration that sounds almost like breathing. At the chamber floor, The mirrors no longer reflect them. Instead, they show lunar landscapes not yet formed, seas and continents of light. Mira stares, tears streaking down her visor. "We're seeing memory," she whispers. The shard pulses once, and the entire chamber ripples outward like disturbed water. The floor opens beneath them, revealing a deeper shaft lined with flowing liquid light. Kiran lowers a probe. It disintegrates before contact. "It's not matter," Alara says softly. "It's memory condensed." Mira's comms flare. Through static she hears voices, the missing Apollo crew speaking calmly as if from another room. Mercer kneels, muttering a prayer. "We should leave." Alara turns toward him, eyes glowing faintly silver. "We can't leave what we are part of." The shard vibrates, resonating with her pulse. The chamber begins to sing. Frequencies rise beyond human hearing, yet the crew feels them in blood and bone. Ilara steps forward and places the shard in the air above the shaft. It hovers, spinning slowly, projecting light patterns across the mirrored walls. Each pulse matches a human EEG waveform, each wave reflecting emotional resonance. Mira gasps as the lights form silhouettes, their own, overlapping, merging, dissolving. Kiran's voice breaks. "It's mapping us?" A blinding flash, then silence. When vision returns, only Alara stands in the chamber. Her voice echoes across comms, layered with others. Mercer's prayer, Mira's whisper, Kiran's breath, all woven into a single tone. "They're still here," she says. The mirrors ripple gently, each now containing a faint, moving figure. The rest of the crew, their reflections whispering in slow unison. The shard dissolves into dust that drifts upward, merging with the lunar airless sky. Above ground, the crater glows faintly, like a living eye staring back at Earth. Time fractures. The habitat's clocks display contradictory hours. Mission logs rewrite themselves with timestamps from decades prior. Elara's transmissions to Earth loop endlessly, her voice repeating, splintering, answering itself. "We've entered the lattice," one voice says. Another answers, "We never left." Cade, pale and sleepless, realizes the reflections are broadcasting through their neural interfaces. Every thought becomes echo. Every echo becomes architecture. Mira's image flickers on the comm display, her face multiplied across screens, each expression slightly different. "Are you recording this?" one version asks. The others only smile. Mercer wakes to find his helmet filled with fog, condensation where none should form. He looks through the glass and sees himself standing across the room, facing him. The other Mercer moves closer, mimicking each breath half a second behind. "You're not me," he mutters. The reflection smiles faintly and says, "No, I'm what came back." He screams, shattering the visor. Silence follows. Alara arrives moments later to find the room empty, but for Mercer's suit, standing upright, hollow, as though still breathing. Kiran's voice fills the comms. "The structure is not reacting to us. It's rewriting our coordinates." His vitals show multiple instances, same biometrics at different locations. He stands before a mirror and sees infinite versions of himself, each older, younger, or dead. One steps forward through the glass, reaching out. The contact erases both. Alara watches the energy spike from the surface like a flare visible even from orbit. NASA's monitors on Earth record it as a lunar event anomaly, time stamped at multiple years simultaneously. The chamber above ruptures. Lunar dust flows upward like reversed snowfall, scattering toward the stars. The habitat loses gravity. Tools, documents, and droplets of condensed vapor drift midair. Alara's voice plays through every comm device, though her mouth never moves. The moon remembers. she intones. It's restoring the original pattern. Mira, or what remains of her, appears in fragments across reflective surfaces, eyes, lips, gestures, each one whispering fragments of thought. Cade screams into his recorder. They're synchronizing consciousness across reflections. We're data now. Silence returns. Only Alara remains. If remains still means anything. Her body is weightless, suspended in the mirror chamber, now half collapsed into the regolith. The walls pulse faintly with human silhouettes. Mercer praying, Mira listening, Kiran analyzing. They move in slow rhythm, breathing as one organism. Elara speaks softly into the void, voice layered with infinite harmonics. We are the reflection now. The shard's residual dust gathers around her, forming a faint halo. Above the moon, the orbiting satellite captures one final image before losing contact. An expanding ring of light encircling Mare Tranquillitatis. 50 years later, deep within NASA's archival division, a technician named Ana Velasquez restores an old data drive labeled Aeternum, lost signal. Static fills the room as forgotten telemetry scrolls across a flickering monitor. Amid the noise, a pulse emerges. 6 tones, then silence, then 6 again. The technician freezes as a live feed window opens on its own. It displays a view of Mare Tranquillitatis, perfectly still, yet filmed in real time. A faint shape moves across the dust. A shadow walking upright, slow, deliberate. The timestamp reads 2047.09.14. A date half a century past. NASA convenes an emergency midnight session. Engineers, linguists, and physicists crowd around the feed as the signal stabilizes. The camera pans across the old crater, revealing a new structure where none existed. A crystalline dome rising from beneath the surface, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Audio filters reveal an undercurrent of whispering voices, repeating fragmented words in multiple languages, merging into rhythm. Alone, it's not alien. It's human memory encoded in resonance. The room falls silent. As the image sharpens, a single figure standing at the dome's edge, wearing an Apollo-era suit. The feed zooms closer. The figure in the suit turns toward the camera and removes the helmet. It's Alara Quinn, unchanged, her eyes gleaming like liquid mercury. Her lips move without sound, but subtitles flicker automatically across the screen. We never left. We became. The feed warps, momentarily splitting into dozens of mirrored windows, each showing variations of Alara. Older, younger, disintegrating, reborn. Then the signal collapses to a single frame, her face in silence, her pupils reflecting Earthlight. NASA cuts transmission, but copies of the signal continue to replicate across networks worldwide, untraceable. Across Earth, electronics begin to hum with residual frequencies. Cell towers, satellites, and home radios, transmitting fragments of the same 6-tone pattern. Listeners describe hearing voices of the dead, echoes of their own thoughts, or whispered prayers in their sleep. In one remote lunar research array, instruments activate themselves, pointing back toward the moon. Within NASA, analysts trace the signal to multiple origins. Not one source, but thousands, spread evenly across the lunar surface, as though the entire moon has become an antenna. The final recovered transmission arrives without warning, a simple video file named Echo Han. It opens with static, then the face of Alara, expression calm, voice barely a whisper. The lattice is complete. You are part of it now. Behind her, the lunar horizon glows, revealing thousands of faint lights moving beneath the regolith. Not machines, but shapes that shimmer with human silhouettes. The feed distorts, dissolving into pure light. For a moment, every signal on Earth goes silent. When it returns, A single phrase pulses across every channel, in every language, repeating endlessly. We were never alone.